When my daughter stopped breathing that evening, I felt no panic. I simply gazed at the hospital monitor, the flat, lined the blaring alarms, the frenzy of activity, and a single thought formed: they caused this. Just 3 hours before I discovered my mother Eleanor, my father Felix and my sister Mia had drained the fund I had dedicated 3 years to building. It was $69,000, intended for her essential heart, operation money that was supposed to purchase her continued life. Now it had purchased me absolute clarity. They discussed it so casually, as if they were talking about weekly supplies. "If it's meant to be, she will survive, my sister," Mia had commented while glancing at her phone. "We genuinely required the capital." My mother Eleanor had softly added her tone, almost regretful. "Your father's—" I did not permit her to finish. I neither yelled nor wept. I just stood observing their faces, comprehending how limited my existence had been, revolving around individuals who could rob a critically ill child and justify it through family loyalty. That was the instant something within me became still. My parents were once my security. I was the dutiful daughter who trusted their good motives. When I became pregnant at 22, they promised their assistance. When my husband departed, they helped me move back to their residence. They presented smiles through every challenge, yet quietly judged my poor decisions. I did not truly perceive them until my daughter's serious medical diagnosis. I noticed how their concern was merely for show, how they offered aid only when others were watching. They preferred sympathy, not responsibility. Still, I entrusted them with the single most vital thing, her future. That confidence evaporated the moment my sister Mia grinned and said, "You will devise a solution, you always do." That night, after signing the necessary consent papers, I could not afford. I drove back to the house. It was dim, silent, empty. I sat at the kitchen surface and opened my computer. My first action was to freeze all shared financial accounts. They hadn't realized I had designated them as secondary signers months earlier. My father Felix's business accounts were registered under my identity as a guarantor, which gave me legal entry. I moved every dollar they had, not yet misused, into an escrow account designated for my daughter. Then I pulled the full records of withdrawals, receipts, and transactions and saved every detail. Betrayal is intensely painful initially, but if you allow it to cool, it becomes a surgical instrument. Over the next week, I remained silent. I visited my daughter in the intensive care unit, watching her small chest rise and fall beneath the whirring machines. I smiled when physicians spoke, nodded when nurses inquired about payment arrangements, and when my mother Eleanor telephoned pretending to check in, I maintained my composure. "Do not worry," I assured her, "we will handle it." By the conclusion of the week, the neighborhood church publicized a benefit event. My sister Mia shared it on social media, writing, "Please help my niece receive the operation. She urgently needs donations." Flooded in. They posed for pictures with my daughter's name and hashtags, like Faith Forley and a Miracle Chapin acting like saints. That is when I moved. First, I dispatched the documents to the generous donors and the church committee. Proof of the transfer's timestamps and my mother's Eleanor's text stating, "We genuinely required the capital." The committee immediately halted their campaign, citing concerns of fraud. Then I contacted their bank with the stolen fund evidence. The official investigation began instantly. Embezzlement, wire fraud, theft. My sister Mia's employment as a loan officer at a credit union vanished within days. My father Felix's business accounts were frozen pending review. And my mother Eleanor, she phoned me weeping about misunderstandings. I listened in silence. Every sob, every excuse, every plea. Then I stated, "You claimed if it is meant to be, she will survive. Let us observe if that principle applies to you." And I ended the call. Before the week was out, my sister Mia's fiancé dissolved their engagement. My parents' house, the one they utilized as collateral for a questionable business loan, was seized by the bank. They blamed me naturally. They claimed I destroyed them. They said family does not treat family in this manner, but I did not destroy them. They did that the instant they signed their names on her fund withdrawal slip. I merely ensured the truth was visible to all. The operation occurred 2 months later, financed by strangers who truly cared. She recovered. The medical personnel called it a marvel. I called it deserved justice. I remember holding her tiny hand in the recovery ward, sensing the gentle pulse beneath her skin. My mother Eleanor attempted to visit one time. Flowers in her hand, remorse in her eyes. Security turned her away. She left the flowers at the reception desk. I never touched them. Sometimes I reflect on the night it all began. Their living space, the false empathy, the casual heartlessness. How they presumed I would collapse, that I would beg. They mistook my silence for giving up. They overlooked where I inherited my calmness. They were the ones who instructed me how to smile and lie, how to manipulate feelings, how to disguise cruelty as concern. I simply learned to execute it better. Now, when people ask how I handled it, I share the truth. I did not seek revenge. I merely returned what was intrinsically theirs, the painful lesson they imparted to me. And believe me, it cost them substantially more than $69,000.